Today we are taking a look at Sahlab or Salep. It's a sweetened hot drink that's been made in the Middle East for centuries and is one of the greatest things to drink in winter. Like most Middle Eastern recipes, there's tons of variation throughout the region, and today we'll be making the Egyptian variety, which is my favourite. Simply put, this is the coconut version of a luscious hot chocolate without the chocolate. If you're a fan of bounty chocolates or coconut macaroons, you're going to love this.
Hey everyone, I'm Obi, a home cook who wants to get you cooking authentic and delicious Middle Eastern food at home. Today I'm bringing you the first drink on this channel, and it's Sahlab, the Middle East answer to hot chocolate. This hot coconut drink does wonders to warm you up, and it's got a satisfying thick texture that's great to drink or even eat. First, I'll show you how to put together the Sahlab mix so you can make it whenever you want. Then I'll show you how to turn that mixture into a delicious cup of warm Sahlab with a bunch of amazing toppings. Before we jump in, I just want to let you know that I just launched a Patreon. So if you're interested in supporting the work I do, check it out. The link is in the description box down below. Now, let's jump right in and make it.
First of all, let's discuss what Sahlab actually is. The traditional Salep drink, which has been consumed for over a millennia, is a hot drink made from crushed orchid tubers. Real Salep is hard to find outside of Turkey and Greece, and there are strict controls on its export from Turkey, so most Salep powders are actually imitation Salep. If you have orchids at home, I don't recommend you try to make it yourself, since you'll need a lot of the powder for a single cup. Last summer I got some Greek Salep powder and made buza, a stretchy Middle Eastern ice cream. The base of the ice cream follows a very similar recipe to the real Salep drink, but quite a bit thicker. It has an earthy flavour similar to taro, so if you're interested in trying it, you can make it with that recipe. Because of its rarity, real Salep has been replaced by milk drinks thickened with cornstarch. In the Levant region, this is usually flavoured with rose water or orange blossom water. If you want to make this version of Salep, you can do it by replacing the coconut milk powder in this recipe with a regular milk powder. When cooking, just add in a tablespoon of rose or orange blossom water to give it that classic smells like a grandma flavour. Egyptian Sahlab is also an imitation Sahlab, but instead of rose, it's flavoured with coconut. It's also sometimes served with cinnamon and topped with nuts and sultanas. So how do you make imitation Sahlab? Well, it's fairly easy, and the powder can be made ahead of time, then used whenever you want a cup. I store mine in a jar and it can last for over a year without going bad. All you need to do is heat it with some milk, and in a few minutes you'll have a cup of warm Sahlab. Before making the Sahlab mixture, we'll start by toasting 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds. Place them in a dry pan over a medium heat and allow them to slowly heat up and toast. It's important to shake the pan every few seconds to stop the seeds from burning. Mine took about 4 minutes of shaking and toasting them until they developed this golden colour and smelt really fragrant. When that happens, remove them from the pan immediately or they'll continue to brown. Yours should look something like this when done. Toasted sesame has a much stronger flavour than raw sesame, so if you skip this step you won't get much flavour from them. For the coconut flavouring, a lot of recipes called for desiccated coconut. I tried using it a bunch of different ways, but it would result in a gritty texture unless I ground it by hand. Instead I opted to use coconut milk powder, and it gives an extremely rich and creamy texture that the desiccated coconut is just not capable of. It's basically dehydrated coconut milk and has a long shelf life. I found this at a large supermarket here in the UK, and it also seems widely available online in the US. If you can't find this, your best bet is to grind some desiccated coconut into a powder using a food processor or blender, but I find that milk powder has a lot more flavour. We'll also be adding some mastic into the Sahlab. If you can't find it, this can be left out, but it gives a nice pine flavour to the drink and it's a great seasoning to have on hand for Middle Eastern cooking. For this recipe, measure out half a teaspoon of mastic, then use a pestle and mortar to crush it into small pieces. The texture you should be aiming for is a fine powder. Once yours looks something like this, it can be set aside to go into the Sahlab mixture. Now we can combine all of the ingredients to make the Sahlab mix. This recipe is enough to combine with 11 measuring cups of milk or about 7 to 8 mugs of Sahlab, so feel free to make more or half of it. To ensure that all the ingredients mix well, I recommend sifting all the powders together. We'll start off by adding 1 cup of the powdered coconut milk, which as we discussed is where we'll get the rich coconut flavour from and the smooth texture. Next we'll be adding in half a cup of powdered sugar. This is just about enough to sweeten the Sahlab, but you can increase it if you want it really sweet. Next we'll add in half of a cup of rice flour. This is another obscure ingredient, but it gives the milk a nice starchy flavour and helps thicken the texture. You can make this yourself in a blender or using a pestle and mortar. Just make sure to get it really fine. Next up is half a cup of dried milk powder. This will make the texture creamier and gives it a malted milk flavour, which works really well here. Next we're adding in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. This is going to thicken the sahlab as it cooks and give us the thickened texture we're looking for. Now you'll add the half teaspoon of ground mastic to the mixture, making sure to sift it well and break up any large pieces. The final powder we'll add is half of a teaspoon of vanillin or vanilla sugar. It adds a small vanilla background flavour to the drink, but if you can't find this then just leave it out. The final ingredient is the 3 tablespoons of toasted sesame you made earlier. Some people also add cinnamon, but I think that's best left as a topping. Now all you need to do is mix everything together until well combined. Take your time mixing this to ensure that everything is well distributed. I'd recommend mixing this for a few minutes with a whisk and then use a spoon to mix from the bottom of the bowl. Here's what mine looked like when I was done mixing it. It's all one uniform colour and the sesame is evenly distributed throughout it. Now you can take a sterile jar or container and fill it with the mixture. Keeping it airtight will allow your sahlab mix to last until the first ingredient in it expires, which if you're lucky will be about a year. Now that we have the powder, we can turn it into a mug of sahlab. Your first step is to find out how large your mug is in measuring cups, since you'll need to use a specific amount of powder per cup. My mug measures 2 US cups, or about 470 milliliters, so I'm measuring out 2 cups of milk. If you want to make this with alternative milk, I'd recommend subbing the milk powder for more coconut milk powder as well. For each cup of milk, you'll need to use 4 tablespoons or a quarter of a cup of the sahlab mix, so for my mug I had to double that to 8 tablespoons or half of a cup of powder. Once you've measured it all out, add the milk to a pot on the stove over a medium heat. Next add in the measured amount of sahlab powder, then stir everything together to combine. I'd recommend you use a whisk here to ensure you don't get any clumps, and you should continue to whisk the mixture until it thickens. The cornstarch won't activate until the mixture is fairly hot, about 94 degrees Celsius, so if you want a shortcut, use the microwave to preheat your milk. Don't stop whisking, otherwise the bottom of the pot can quickly form a burnt layer. Sometime between 5 to 10 minutes, you should notice that the mixture visibly thickens, and you want to test it to see if it can coat a spoon. Once it reaches this fairly viscous texture, your sahlab is done. Just remember that it will thicken up slightly once removed from the heat, so get it to slightly thinner than you'd like it. When it's ready, it's time to fill your mug of choice. Some people add some toppings into the bottom of the mug before the sahlab, so feel free to do that if you'd like. Add the sahlab into your mug right to the top. Let it cool down for a couple of minutes so it can form a skin before adding your toppings of choice. Classic toppings are chopped nuts, sultanas, desiccated coconut, toasted sesame and cinnamon, though you can really top it with whatever you like. I did one with sultanas, sesame and coconut, and another one with chopped pistachios, chopped hazelnuts and flaked almonds, and that's the sahlab done. If you make this powder ahead of time, you can have a hot cup of steaming coconut ready within 5 minutes, and any prepared toppings will last for a few weeks in an airtight container. This is the ultimate Middle Eastern winter treat. Now let's jump right to the taste test.
The sahlab is everything you could want in a hot drink. It tastes deliciously coconutty and is just perfectly sweetened. The sesame and toppings give some variety to the creamy texture and make it easy to customize the sahlab to suit your taste. Because mine cooled down while filming, it got a little too thick, but it's also delicious eaten with a spoon. If you're a fan of coconut, you have to give this one a try. Make this on a cold winter night and it's guaranteed to keep you warm. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like or comment and share it with your friends. And if you really enjoyed it, check out the Patreon. As usual, the full recipe is in the description box down below, and I'll be back next week with another recipe.